Okay, so here we are. We just were talking about it. Tasting number 115 of the Saratoga Whiskey Club. Welcome, everybody. We're going to have a really fun evening tonight of tasting some whiskeys from the Highlands of Scotland. We're going to focus on one specific region, actually, tonight, and one distillery, mainly, with 6 of the 7 whiskeys we're trying tonight. Glenturret being the vertical, as we call it, when we're tasting a number of core expressions in a row, and we have a couple of special bottles as well at the end. But we're gonna just go ahead and I did announce a tasting today, just in case anybody didn't see their emails. If you're in the club, we're doing a rye tasting in a couple of weeks. Go ahead and sign up for that if you want to get in. It's going to be really great. Got some wonderful bottles. Thank you, Dave, who's in the room, for providing one of those. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We do have an online scorecard that was in the email. If you're here in person, it wouldn't hurt if you could score. For those of you who are new, and we have actually quite a few people online and in the room that are new, scoring is based 25 points per category. It's nose, palate, finish, and balance. It's really subjective, so don't feel like you know, you have to have an accurate number. It's kind of just, you know, what you feel. 20 out of 25 is pretty solid. That's like a B, you know. An A would be anything above 20, and then below 20 is fine as well. We do accumulate everything and average it all out, and you know, it's kind of fun to keep track. We're way behind on that. It will happen someday when life settles down. But all right, so without waiting any longer, let's get into this tasting. We're going to start. Actually, I have quickly. Let me just show you a slide. I have, and for those who are here in the room, I am going to play a video, and I will turn the computer around so that you guys can see it who are here. Hold on one second here. I'm going to share my screen.
Where's the projector?
Yeah, I need a projector. Lucas, can you work on that for me, please?
Sure. For a fee.
Everything's a fee with Lucas. Okay. You guys see that okay a little bit? I know it's not huge, but I know you guys can't see it. I don't know if you want to, I'll turn it around when I'm done. It's just a map of Scotland. Actually, Holly, I don't know if you want to grab that map over there. Then people, at least in the room, can see what we're talking about. But what we're going to be focusing on today is, it's kind of the lower Highlands. The Highlands is pretty much everything above this line between Edinburgh and Glasgow. So there's kind of this horizontal line in Scotland. Anything below that line is the lowlands, and everything above that line is the Highlands. And the Highlands go way north. The Highlands go all the way up to the islands up north, to Orkney, and even all the way up to the Shetland Islands, which are the northernmost islands in Scotland. But this map that you're looking at right now is really the lower Highlands. We're not even like looking at all the way up in Scotland. We're just getting about halfway up. Where the cursor is right now is just on the southern part of a national park called the Cairngorms National Park. And there's a beautiful, beautiful area in town called Pitlochry. And there is located 2 distilleries, both Edredour, which a lot of you know, a really wonderful distillery, very small, tiny distillery. And the other one happens to be Blair Athol, which is actually what we're starting with tonight as kind of our warm-up dram. But that's right here where you see the, I don't know, can you guys see the mouse when I move it? Yeah, okay. And then there are some other distilleries that are just north of Edinburgh and Glasgow. We have Deanston, which is just outside of Stirling. We have Loch Lomond, which is over here. You know, there's a few that are up here, but then right kind of in the middle, just to the west of Perth, is Glenturret. And that's where we're going to be focusing most of our time tonight. So actually very close to Edinburgh and Glasgow. So easy day trip. If you go all the way up here, this is Dalwhinnie, and then you have Blair, Athol, Edgedour, and Glenturret. So here's St. Andrews for you golf fans over here, just to the east of Perth and Glenturret. So, but we're going to start with Blair, Athol. I'm going to unshare my screen here. Oops, what did I do? Oh, there we go. And so tonight, this is kind of just a warm-up dram. I was trying to think what to do. I didn't want to blow people's palates away. You know, I do that sometimes and it gets me into trouble. But we're going to do a really nice kind of rich, earthy, a little bit earthy Blair Athol. Many of you have seen this bottle in our shop. It's hard not to see it. You know, they're very beautiful kind of bottles here. But this is a newer independent bottler that has come into the US. And actually, we did one of these in the Advent calendar last year. I think we might have done another DS Tayman bottling at some other tasting as well. But we have the Linkwood, we have the Blair Athol, and the Kalila here in the shop. And so far, they've had 2 editions. The first edition, which is what we're having tonight, is finished in a Flam Israeli wine barrel. It's a Syrah barrel. It's a kosher barrel. But this is from the Blair Athol distillery. But again, think of wine when you're drinking this. This is lower proof. This is 46%. So it's a nice kind of intro whiskey just to get us into the Highlands and tasting a little bit of that. And if you want to, you know, use the chat room, go ahead, or just chime in. And same with everybody here. I think pretty much everybody online can hear everybody who's here in the room when we're talking. So, but Slancha, let's enjoy a little lower Highlands tasting tonight. So. So quiet.
I didn't bring paper, so I could type it into my notes.
Don't talk too much, everybody.
I think I was asked not to talk, so.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Some people don't talk. Here, I'll tell you a little bit about Blair Athol. So a lot of their whiskey is, I don't know, some of you might have heard of Bell's, but Bell's is a very popular blended Scotch in Scotland. It's one of the primary components in Bell's whiskey. So you don't see a lot of core offerings from Blair Athol because most of it is used in blends. But the 12-year is typically what you're going to find. And this happens to be a 12-year independent bottling. Right outside of Pitlochry, old distillery. We'll get into more of the history behind Glenturret. But Blair Athol as well is a very old distillery. Goes all the way back to 1798. It was named originally Aldor. It was named after the water source that was close by. And it's changed ownerships many times. Closed just like Glenturret in the early 20th century for various reasons, usually prohibition and the war. Closed a lot of things. And then in 1973, they expanded and added another 2 stills. So there's 4 stills, 2 wash, 2 spirit stills right now in Blair Athol. I have not been to the distillery. Holly, I'm sure you've been. Yeah, you have that famous picture of you there. Yeah, at the distillery there.
There's a big bird in the parking lot.
There's a big bird in the parking lot?
Like Sesame Street Big Bird.
I have it on my blog.
Hey, your whiskey
Is it sitting on your shoulder?
I'm disturbed right now.
Oh, with the squirrel?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why you need those bottles, those little bottles.
No, her glasses are poured right here. She just needs to bring them over there.
She's disturbed about the squirrel.
Oh, Chad, I can't get Chad into the room here. Oh, there we go. Welcome, Chad. We had a hanging Chad there for a minute. Oh, that was horrible.
You said the scoring is on a 1 to 5.
1 to 25.
Well, 1 to 5 for each thing.
No, 1 to 25 for each thing. So it's a total out of
Oh,
100.
okay.
Yep.
Oh man, 1 to 5 is much easier.
So if you score a total of 80, that's like a B, a solid B, or a B, I guess a B, right? Or C plus, B minus, something like that.
Big bird.
What do you guys think of this one?
Hurricane
It's good.
grouse.
I like it. I mean, it's
Big
very
bird.
like it's
smooth,
sweet,
but I
big
love the
bird.
nose. I
It's
mean,
like apples.
right,
Oh,
that's
no,
what I was
no.
saying. I was
It's
saying
a
maybe
grouse.
apples
It's
or
like their
pears, maybe
wild
some apricots.
chicken
to get
grouse.
around that.
Yeah.
You guys want to see the bird?
Very light, which is a nice way to start.
Yeah,
That is a big bird.
That is a big bird.
I think it's a good way,
Sunnygram.
good way to get the palate kind of going.
It's a little creepy.
Here, can I see that? Here, I'll show it on the screen.
The bird.
Yeah, the bird.
Can't call it big bird because it's Bird's not yellow.
Oops.
Copyrighted.
So at Blair Athol, they have a big bird.
It's a grouse.
It's a grouse.
I was gonna
A
say,
big
is that famous, you know,
So
the
it's-
famous
it's-
grouse?
We're gonna talk
Yeah,
about
that's
famous
the main
grouse a little
homes that
bit, but
goes
that
into
is
famous grouse. It's the
another.
home of famous grouse.
So is Blair Athol as well?
No, Blair
No,
Athol is
Glen-
the home of
Glenturret.
bells.
But why do they have a grouse?
Oh, sorry, are we still on Blair Athol?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was.
Oh, that's
Glenturret.
Glenturret.
Do you want me to get the photos of Blair Athol?
No, it's okay.
There's no bird in Blair Athol. But there's beautiful vines on the distillery at Blair Athol, if you want to see that.
It is a very picturesque distillery. I've seen lots of pictures. They do have, like vines all around the front of the sign, and you can look it up online. It's really a beautiful spot. I definitely want to get up there and check it out someday.
There's Blair Athol. There's the something.
Oh, there's bottles for everybody.
Yeah, it's a.
Yeah.
that
Does
was-
anyone just
Yeah,
yell?
we
We
need-
need just get them both.
Yeah.
Had good cameras back then, but yeah.
It's like
very
rainy
nice.
everywhere. Oh, it's beautiful.
And yeah, they don't.
Any notes? Any other ideas about this whiskey?
It's got a nice.
Anybody had Blair Athol
I
before?
like the finish.
Yeah,
Probably in
Shalom,
Vernon,
yeah.
David.
They give you two.
Smooth, fruity
Oh,
finish.
thank you
I
very
like
much.
that. I like that. Little spice on the back.
We had the Linkwood Flom in the
You're good.
calendar.
Okay. Yeah, so we did the Linkwood first edition in the calendar last year.
What kind of wine barrels did you say was?
It's Flam, so it's FLAM. It's a
That's the vineyard.
vineyard, yeah, in Israel. But it's a Shiraz varietal. I mean, a Syrah. Shiraz, Syrah. Yeah, it's
You know, I
just
hate it
called
when I
different.
like something so
different
much as the
places.
first one. Because it sets so many other scores. I end up having to go back.
It's an Israeli wine, which my first question was, it doesn't taste like red wine. It doesn't taste like
No.
a Syrah. So I remember when I asked them, they said that sometimes their Syrah can be a little bit sweeter. So I'm guessing it's not a crazy long finish, but it took on some of the grape qualities, because the Bordeaux finish that they have for edition 2 is very red wine. Like you can taste the Bordeaux, it tastes like Bordeaux on the Blair Athol. So yeah, I guess we just need to start drinking more Israeli wines, because that's the same with the milk and honey Israeli whiskeys. They have all these Israeli red wine finishes, and I just don't. It's not the type of wine that I'm used to drinking. So
You're not picking it up.
yeah, and I guess kosher wine tends to be a little bit sweeter. Someone told me, so I've learned a lot about wine with DS Tayman.
Holly, have you tried their flora, their fawn and flora?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
The Blair
I haven't
Athols
tried that.
are usually pretty solid.
Jeff in Michigan says he's tried it,
Yeah,
or is a fan of it.
The Blair Athol is a beaver. That's their animal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to go on to why we are all here, which happens to be Glenturret. And what we're going to do, which is going to be a little, it's going to be good, but we're going to go ahead and we'll start with the 10-year, but Just remember, this one is peated. It sounds kind of strange to start with a peated, but it is before we get on to all of these sherry expressions. So I think it was a good, let's just do it, get it out of the way. It's a young 10-year peated whiskey. Just make sure after you drink this that you know, cleanse your palate well with some water and some crackers and all of that. But what I'm gonna do, because I found, I do have some slides and all that, but I actually found a video that was recently made that is an interview with one of the, I don't remember her title, but she's one of the hospitality people at Glenturret. It's a 12-minute video, so it's not too long, but I do want to play it because it goes into everything that we really want to know about Glenturret. The history, the distillery, you know, you can actually see the stills, you can see everything going on there. So I am going to share that. When I do that, I'm going to turn my computer around so that the people here can watch it as well. So just give me a second as I rearrange here, but I've got it loaded up. So while we're watching this video, why don't you just drink this 10-year peated. We'll talk about it afterwards. And you know, write in the chat room if you've got any notes or anything like that, and we'll discuss it afterwards. But I'm gonna go ahead and share this video with you all because I think it's worth it. And I hope the Wi-Fi works well enough that we don't have too many pauses, which happens sometimes. And I'm gonna put the closed captions on as well. Once I get this thing going. All right, let's see if I can do this. And you all might want to back up a little bit. You too, Lucas, you might want to. Rebecca and I can move. I can't see my mouse. Oh, great.
It's not moving.
Connection lost.
Oh, come on.
Hit the space bar, sometimes it'll just play.
Really?
If that window's open.
Oh my God. How about the
The
volume?
young kid.
Recently, on episodes of the Cask 88 Lock-In, we've been visiting a lot of younger distilleries. I just can't help myself. There's something about the
Oops.
excited and dashing young entrepreneurs who are starting up these new places to make whiskey all over Scotland. But before you accuse me of bias, I do know that the Scotch whiskey industry is old as balls. Some distilleries have been making whiskey for close to or even over 200 years. And though I may get excited by the younger startups, well, I have to acknowledge that there have been giants on whose shoulders they have been standing. And to redress the balance, let me present you with one of the oldest, the Glenturret. I'm here now at Glenturret Distillery with Lucy Armstrong, the development manager here. Thank you so much for seeing us.
You're very welcome. It's lovely to meet you.
Glenturret Distillery has actually been quite a big feature in your life.
Yes, definitely. I started here as a tour guide while I was at uni in Dundee and really never left. So enjoyed it so much. It's been really nice to do various different things within the industry and meet some fantastic people as well.
How long has the distillery been here?
A lot of people, particularly in the industry, will know us for being established originally in 1775. But interestingly, if you look at our new bottling, you'll see the date 1763. So as you'll know, this particular area, like a lot of areas in Scotland, was really a hive of activity for, shall we say, not always legal activities in making single malt, making whiskey. And we were certainly no stranger to that. So a couple of years ago, we embarked on a research project. We're really keen to actually find out a lot more about Glenturret. We really wanted to focus on the Glenturret story, now being Glenturret in its own right, and came across a hidden gem that we hadn't known about before. Now, the lands back in the 1700s were actually owned by the Murrays of Ochtertyre, a baronial family. And Sir Patrick Murray of Ottertyre, he actually owned the distillery, and its original form, or one of the earliest times, it was known as the Turret or Turret Distillery. And we came across a rental document from 1763 which mentions the Turret Distillery. The reason we have changed now from 1775 to 1763, as this is now the earliest evidence we have of the distillery being actually in this location. It's really fascinating to look through old documents from kind of early 1800s and actually see all the distilleries that actually used to be in this location. You know, there's kind of 20 odd distilleries at one point in that real hive of whiskey production.
So the name Glenturret, I know that when I was getting my head around whiskey and there were all these sort of scary Gaelic names, there was Glenturret. I was like, okay, I think I got this one. A turret is a small tower, right?
Well, you would think that, but certainly you'll hopefully guess that Glen's coming from the beautiful big hills that we're surrounded in as we sit at the foot of Glenturret. And turret actually is derived from Tured, hopefully I pronounced it right, my Gaelic's not very good, but it actually translates to essentially mean little dry one, and it's actually to do with the loch turrets as the loch shrinks in the summer. Which is actually where we have our water source from as well. And you can see part of the water source coming down past the distillery.
Quite fast.
You have, yeah, absolutely. And actually, Glenturret, the ancient Latin name for that is called Torre Glen. So it literally translates to land of the rushing stream. And when you're by the distillery, all you can hear is that water really rushing past. So it really is a key feature for us.
Yeah, and the little dry one sometimes unpredictably becoming the massive torrent.
Absolutely.
Glenturret is not a very large distillery. It's quite compact, but it feels that you've actually got it in a place where you guys very much like it how it is. Am I right in saying that?
There's plans to expand to a point, but certainly nothing absolutely major. So we're still a very small production, and that means that, you know, our spirit is very precious, and we only have a select volume to be able to share with the world. We would love to share more,
Yeah.
but physically we can only produce so much. That just adds to the romance of what we do here.
So how different is the modern world for making whiskey in than maybe the methods that Glenturret used before?
Ultimately, it's hard. Glenturret is still a very, very traditional distillery and always will be. We really want to keep that part of our history alive, and so everything is very hands-on, and that really hasn't changed since the very, very early days. For us, it's really about honing skills, expertise, and really understanding why and how we do things now. So really it was quite a lot of happy accidents, and, you know, I'm sure people would have been doing very similar things to how we are making whiskey now as they were then, but probably, you know, sticking a finger in a vat and kind of tasting it and kind of almost finger in the air stuff and saying, yeah, that feels about right temperatures. But now, for example, we can be really accurate on how we can control the temperature of the stills, and understanding how the spirit will evolve over the time. A lot of it's still such a natural process, and there'll be a huge amount still unknown and still being researched today. Also importantly for us, being as environmentally friendly as we can be as well, which is more and more prevalent and very important at the forefront of what we do.
How about the technical side of Glenturret? What's the equipment like that you use to make whiskey here?
We're very traditional, so certainly we don't have the guy sitting in another room elsewhere operating everything by the computer. So everything is very much by hand, from the sample safe to cutting by eye to hand filling casks, to everything that we operate, even in mashing as well. So it really is a very special handmade process.
So down to brass tacks, Glenturret's whiskey. What style of whiskey do you make here? Is it a very typical Highland whiskey?
Traditionally, the Glenturret, for the new make spirit that we have here, it's quite light, quite fruity, almost got like a crisp apple note through it. It's really, really lovely. And when we put that into, of course, the cask, we get a huge amount of flavour developing through that. So actually, we have quite a variety of range of whiskies, and we also make Roodmore spirit here as well, which is a peated style, heavily peated style of Glenturret. The range of flavours, if you like, although at its core it's quite a lovely light fruity new make, the whiskies that we are now creating, there really is everything from the spectrum, as you can imagine. So we have, for example, we've got a 10-year-old peat smoked version of Glenturret at the moment, which uses some of the Roodmore spirit. We've got Triple Woods, which embraces some of those lovely kind of fruity characters and is a really nice introduction into the range. And then you've got whiskies such as the 12 or the 15, where you've got a bit more in the depth of the cask. So really what's lovely is that you can really enhance what you have at its core, and then really explore how the other elements of production will then influence that. So yes, there are definite elements of the Highland influence, but there's also a real kind of true unique spin that is Glenturret.
And the casks that you choose here, is there a particular kind of cask philosophy at Glenturret?
Casks are very, very important, and between our distillery manager and our whisky makers' expertise, that will ultimately come down to them, and they are very much handpicked. And everything is very much hands-on, because the spirit is like their baby. You know, you're going to put it into the best arms that you can for the best length of time, and always look to improve and enhance what we have, and using the stocks that we have as well. So it's really important that we understand how the wood is influencing and how the time and also the ABV. So even things like the alcohol volume, for example, on a couple of the ranges may change because actually it noses or it tastes better at a certain ABV. So it's all with the consumer in mind as well.
I love that, yeah, things are changing, not getting stuck in the mud. Keep tweaking, keep iterating, make Glenturret best it can be. So I noticed that there's a cabinet in this room with several local legends, famous people who have some connection to Crieff or even the distillery who fill the cask here. And there's also some cats in there. So what is it that makes cats a legend around Glenturret?
It's one particular mouser that we used to have at Glenturret that really started the legendary mousers that then followed as well. So Towser was probably our most infamous mouser, and she was born on the 21st of April 1963, and she was our mouser till she sadly died in March 1987. So she was almost 24 years when she died. And she holds the record for being the world's greatest mouser. So she caught over 28,899 mice in her lifetime. So she was pretty incredible. So really excelled. And it was amazing how much people loved her and admired her. She used to get fan mail, and she was also born in the Chinese Year of the Cat and died in the Chinese Year of the Cat as well, which is incredible. So very, very special cat. Very, very amazing tale, and we still have cats today. Glen and Turret are our two mousers now.
And Towser living to 24, I guess a combination of lovely clean air, exercise, and possibly a drop of Glenturret water of life.
Yeah, legend has it that Towser used to get a little drop of Glenturret in her milk, and that's what led to her longevity, long life.
Lucy Armstrong, thank you for being so generous with your time this morning, and can't wait to be back.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, we look forward to welcoming you back when you do come and visit us again. Thank you very much.
It's very well done.
No, that was cool.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, very nice. Sans the balls reference.
Okay, so we're gonna just end our tasting now. You guys can just drink these now, and maybe shoot me an email what you think about them. And no, I'm just kidding. No, that was very well done. I actually prepared some slides, and then I saw that video, and I was like, damn it! All right, that's just too easy. So But there are a couple of things I do want to mention about Glenturret that they didn't say. So let me see if I can actually find the slides that I did here. Here we go. So just a couple of things. So we heard that that it's old, obviously. She said 1763. That's kind of the official number that they give right now, and that's what's on the bottles. But online, I found that it went all the way back to 1717. That's, illicit distilling, so illegal distilling. They do claim to be the oldest distillery. They do get, some contested remarks from Little Mill and Strathisla. Strathyla, how do I say it? Strathisla?
Yeah.
Strathyla, sorry. I haven't been there yet either, so I'm mispronouncing it. They did, like we talked about with Blair Athol, they did close on and off in the early 1900s, the war, Prohibition. And then they went through a number of different owners. Obviously, there were people involved for 100+ years, but then in 1981, they were bought by Cointreau, which passed on to Highland Distillers in 1990. Then they were taken over by the Edrington Group in 1999. That's when they became home to the famous grouse experience. So Glenturret is known for one of the key components in famous grouse, which many of you have heard is, one of the big blended, if not the biggest blended Scotch consumed in Scotland. And then most recently, they were acquired by the Lalique Group in 2018. And the Lalique Group, for those of you, it's a luxury item group. So they do lots of different luxury items. But one of the kind of interesting things about that purchase, like if you're looking at their bottles, they have this very fancy, and we saw it in the video as well. This is not your typical Scotch bottle, 12-year-old whiskey bottle. So they're definitely trying to impress by the look as well. So that's an important thing to them. But
Charles, do you know, does that holding company have other spirit holdings?
I don't know. Not that is there wine? Okay, there might be some wine.
It's just such an odd.
Yeah.
Combo.
I know. But so we started off with the 10-year, she mentioned it in the video, the 10-year peat smoked. This one is 50% ABV. So it does go up a little bit from the Blair Athol that we had. All of these are the 2021 release. They do have a 2022 release, but those haven't made it to the States yet. These are all, they say right on the box, 2021 release. But so this is the 10-year peat smoke. I don't remember if they mentioned a ppm. Do you remember hearing about ppm with this one?
So she said heavily on which it is pretty.
Yeah, it's got quite a bit of peat on it.
I'll look it up.
Got a price on it?
It's got a nice amount of peat, but it's so well
Yeah,
balanced.
it's so well
It's
balanced.
just-
So lots of good notes in the chat room. Cocoa, apples, palate, green, great mouth feel. Finish is a bit short. Of course, Shalom would say that.
I didn't think so.
It's,
I'm just.
cigar on the nose.
It's a short one to no one.
Oh boy.
Ooh. I
Uh,
think that was directed to me.
oh, Ruad Moore, Single Cast Nation. Okay, there you go. As an
Playing the
author.
part of John Sconzo tonight will be Shalom.
Yes.
And I'm wearing the John Sconzo shirt, so,
That's true.
Oh boy.
I thought on the nose. Was
All right. So what do you guys like it? Yes, no?
Oh, I really like it.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Very, very nice.
Pretty good price point too on this one.
Maybe.
Let me pull it up here. I don't even remember.
That's something there. Maybe it was tar.
It's
or-
peaty, but not real peaty.
Think
which is
about it.
nice.
Yeah.
Like it's not
The nose
overpowering.
smell-
Might be that.
More
Peatier.
peat than the taste, I thought.
Sometimes when it's too peaty, it's just overwhelming.
So the 10-year,
They only That company owns Jaguar.
is $64.99. So not too bad for
That
a,
is
a
actually-
peated 10-year. I mean, when you think about it, in the Scotch world, the peated expressions seem to be the most
Really?
expensive. So $64 is not bad.
All right,
Let's see.
makes a little bit more sense, but it's still odd.
They own like Bentley, Jaguar. What did you say?
No,
Perimeter?
Jaguar and Bentley and Brioni, which is the Italian
So they own Jaguar.
men's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Clothing.
fancy.
So the
Yeah.
Lalique group owns Jaguar and Bentley.
The rest.
That-
Louis Vuitton owns Ardbeg.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go.
Really? That's interesting.
I guess when you have it, you're like, well, what else can I spend my money on?
What other nice things can
What
I?
else can I buy?
Do you get a bottle with your Bentley?
Yeah,
Do
probably.
you get a purse with your Ardbeg?
I hope
Actually,
so.
that's what my friends wanted.
You should.
Last night they came over and wanted to do one more.
So on the label, it says
I was drinking.
smoking embers on an open beach fire, a pinch of sea salt, darker smokiness shows in glimpses, soft warm spices and vibrant citrus fruits flicker in the flames. So make that what you will. That's the 10-year. All right, so we're gonna move on to the triple wood.
Learn something new every day.
It'll be interesting to see though if it's still the home of famous grouse.
Right,
Because Edrington owns McAllen and Highland Park too. And they still own the blended Scotch. They just sold the distillery
Mhm.
to Lalique. So it might change the whole experience. It might be a true Glenturret, because you couldn't even taste the single malt when you went there. It was
so that's interesting. I don't know, could you guys hear that? So Holly was saying that, you know, when Edrington sold to Lalique, it was just the distillery, but Edrington still owns famous grouse. So it's questionable whether or not Glenturret is still producing for famous grouse, or if they're really just focusing on their single malts now.
Well, but so Holly, but I mean, aren't there other blended scotches that get sourced from one parent group into another parent group, right?
Yeah, I bet they made a deal to still get access to Glenturret, but the distillery experience will probably change drastically. I mean, I wouldn't think it'd be the home, just like Aberfeldy's the home of doers, and that's starting to change because Aberfeldy is its own malt in its own right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'd be actually, as we saw in the video, it looked pretty nice. They obviously put a lot of money into to the visitor center or distillery area. So probably be a pretty cool place to check out. Okay, so we're going to move on to the triple wood. So we've seen other triple woods and other distilleries before. So this is Glenturret's triple wood. So we have bourbon barrels, obviously, American and European sherry casks. So a combination of those three. You know, think about other expressions that we've seen that do that as well. There's a lot of them out there right now. This is a little lower ABV, so you definitely want to try and clean your palate after the peat smoked. This is 44%, so we are dropping down a little bit. This bottle is $54.99, so it's even less expensive than the 10-year. Let me grab a couple of cucumbers. See.
Yes. Do you want one? Can I give you this little one? What do you want to do?
I'm already noticing the Glenturret so far very light. That's what I like about it.
So one of the things that I was excited about with Glenturret, I was in Scotland in 2018 and did a tour Ashley Shalom was on the tour to the Speyside region. And we did some Highlands as well. But some of you know Gordon MacPhail, which is the independent bottler out of Elgin up in northern Scotland, right on the coast. Every year there's the Speyside Festival, or Spirit of Speyside Festival. And I thought it was interesting that their release actually for the festival was a Glenturret, because they're not actually a Speyside distillery. But I bought the bottle, brought it back, and we actually had it at a club tasting back in 2018. And it was fantastic. It was, I think, the best whiskey we had that night by far. It really stood out. And this was against a lot of bottles I brought back on this trip. And those were all really great bottles. So Glenturret is always kind of stuck in my mind as being something, you know, unique and fun. That was an older one. So I think that was like 18 years or something like that. So that was obviously before it was purchased by Lalique. But yeah, it's kind of fun to see this renaissance now, or rejuvenation of the brand and distillery. What do you guys think of this one?
Another, I mean, incredible again. I mean, the citrus, the fruitiness, the lightness, it's just.
I got a lot of floral stuff. I get milk chocolate on the nose, and then I get lots of like rose petals on the, as well. And even on the palate, I'm getting like a floral bouquet.
Yeah.
The nose is way more than the palate.
It's a lighter style. You
Yeah.
know, this is 44%.
Yeah.
The bourbon's coming.
The
through,
bourbon
too.
comes through a lot. Yep. I think it'll be really interesting to go from this to the 12-year and see how it jumps.
Mhm.
It's funny, I didn't get that bourbon until after I took the first sip.
Uh-huh.
It came out on the nose after I got that sip.
So it was ex-bourbon, American oak Oloroso, and European oak Oloroso?
Yep. It doesn't say Oloroso, but it says
Okay.
sherry, but probably Oloroso, right?
Oloroso is a sherry, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the like middle of the road sherry. So kind of sweet. You could get some dried fruits, but also you can lean towards baking spice.
Baking
Like that
sherry,
kind of-
right?
Yeah,
Like you
like
cook with it.
cinnamon and clove, and you can kind of lean fruity in that way.
You like
And
this
so
one?
they move it 3
More in
times.
like their sauce, their
Yeah.
sherry sauce.
Sorry,
Yeah.
do they move
There's
it
actually
3
really
different
good
times, or
Oloroso
they
for
blend
sipping.
in 3
Yeah,
different
no one
barrels?
knows it except for
So
cooking.
they're what they do is
Right,
that's
they're
usually
main
what's
purpose now. Yeah.
they're vatting.
More
That's what they
Asian.
call it, or marrying multiple barrels into a vat. So, and then they're bottling from
Got it.
that. So it's,
So 1 barrel is bourbon.
yeah, but it could be
I'm just saying.
7 bourbon
7
barrels
right.
to 2 American and a sherry and 1
Got it.
European sherry,
Got it.
Got
that
it.
type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they age
They're not
them in
moving.
the specific, they age it in the specific,
Yes.
and then it's like a meritage, and they mix it.
They mix it all together, right?
Got it.
But it's still
That's what I
it's
thought.
still called a single malt because it's all coming from one distillery.
Mhm.
It's not multiple distilleries, and it's all single malt. It's 100% malted barley.
Quite the
So,
talent to figure that out.
so it's not a blend.
You know, like find the right, like, well, let's add 1 more of this, and we'll
One
take
more
1 of
French
those.
or whatever.
Yeah.
First.
The right colors.
But I'm assuming it's trial and error.
I know, but the crazy part is to get it to match, and
Oh,
every time you do it.
Oh, yeah,
That
that's,
is wild. Like the
Right.
blended scotches, when you're dealing with 30 or 40 different whiskeys, and you make it taste the same every batch.
you
I
mean
mean,
like Johnny
this-
Walker Blue?
You know, when
Yeah,
they're making
that's-
this, they're
yeah,
probably
insane.
it's lots of barrels. You know, we're talking. You know, it
Well,
could
has to be
be.
hundreds, right?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know what their output is, but it could
And
be.
every cask could be, every keg could be different.
Yeah,
Like
it could be
it's-
70 barrels of bourbon. It could be 20 barrels of
I think
American oak sherry, and then 10 European oak sherry. It's a lot of whiskey, you know, that comes out of that. Especially the sherry barrels. Those are larger barrels. You know, so you get a lot of whiskey out of that.
And the thing is, it's all none of it's automated. There's no computerization. There's no,
Yeah.
like, it's all like literally,
Right.
you can see some dude with a, drawing out of the barrel. It's
It's
not,
almost like the good champagne houses, how they used to make it, like cruise.
Yeah. It's less dudes now, it's more women because they have the better palate.
This dude.
So on the bottle,
I was,
on the bottle, it says,
I would say
hold
it was a gender neutral
hold on.
reference.
on the bottle, it says candied orange peel, sweet vanilla, ginger cake,
You're ginger.
hints of cinnamon and barley sugar with a touch of fresh oak. So pretty simple tasting notes.
The barley, it's the wheat.
Yeah, maybe
That's
the
gotta
malts,
be it,
yeah.
yeah.
It is a pretty bottle.
Fantastic.
By the way, I had a-
Luke is asking how sick the squirrel is at this point. Oh, that was a while ago.
Immediately ran here.
Sorry, Luke.
It might not make it.
Just getting to my texts right now, so.
My friend was
Well, what do you do with it?
I had to have bottles, so he left my house.
All right, so now we're gonna move on to age statements. So you guys ready for that? I don't want to rush it, but yeah, everybody's nodding. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go to a 12-year Glenturret. Did they say, Holly, how many, was this predominantly sherry?
As far as, yeah, I'm aware, it's probably a mix of American oak and European oak.
Yeah,
but-
probably a mix of American oak and European oak, but very heavily on the sherry side. This is 46%. So we've gone up a little bit on this 12-year, 2%. And this one is 75.99. So the last three, the 10-year peated, the triple wood, and the 12-year are available. The others, the 15 is gone, can't get it anymore. But we should be able to get the 10, the triple wood, and the 12 for a while, a little while. They are limited in quantity, but I think we still have another couple of months at least to get them. I'm glad I got a 15-year before they were gone, so we could do all four of them.
All these have a similar attribute on the nose. I think it's that yeastiness now. I'm beginning to see that.
And remember, this is a vertical, right? So we're all starting with the same spirit, except for the peated.
Oh, and it's just aged.
And it's just in different barrel combinations and ages. So
Which from the video seems to be
Is this
consistent
four
with
for her?
what they're saying.
Yeah,
yes.
mushy apples.
Yeah, mealy apples.
Yeah. Which is, I do not like eating,
No, neither-
but I
neither
will
do
drink it.
But do apples taste different if they're mushy or not?
Oh, yeah, I grew up on a apple orchard.
I'm going to share a picture of
Same apple.
Towser the
Wait till
Mauser.
you pass the skin, you'll find out.
Look at that guy. He's got the bottles of Glenturret. He's in a basket. He's got a crown on his head. I mean, talk
I feel like we need to verify his statistics.
I think it was a she.
well, so I read about it.
Yeah.
See?
They estimated that Towser killed 3 mice a day. And so they based it on that, 3 mice a day. So 28,899 was the number they came up with, which was a Guinness book. They did put it in the Guinness book. So
I love it.
Why do they have so many mice?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Is there?
did he bring the head back every time?
Right, how do we know?
no, they only watched Towser for a period of time, and they averaged, it was 3 a day, but it was just like for a couple months, and then they
That's a long gap.
multiplied it. by,
How many days it lived?
Yes.
Statistically invalid.
By the way,
What do you guys think of the 12? Deeper, richer?
yeah,
Yeah.
This was crushing the Macallan taste.
Really good.
Too, at the Phasic Tipton.
what do you mean?
People loved this more than Macallan 12.
I
did
would
they?
have to
Because
Who,
agree.
who had Macallan 12?
They had the brand, I knew him too, the brand ambassador from New York City come up.
Really?
Yeah.
And you were next.
Wow. So Macallan had a table at the horse
Well, this
sales
was one, and then I had like.
last
I
week
had
in the
Japanese
VIP
whiskey, so my pick
area
was
where the
Sierra.
buyers are. And people love this over Macallan. They said it was much, and they were right next to Holly, so that's pretty good.
That's pretty
Macallan's
cool.
great, but it kind of, it drops.
It hits you.
Not as interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is a much more interesting.
It's also sort of refreshing to know that people would kind of deviate away from the brand recognition.
Yeah.
The Macallan versus something that's
Right.
not as known, right?
Right.
Like, that's cool.
Now, it'd be
And
interesting
those are
to
people
see,
buying $1 million horses.
right, but it'd be interesting now that Lalique is behind this, if they try and make it the next Macallan, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Yeah, with the luxury.
with the luxury side of it.
Yeah, lifestyle.
So we have a little section in our shop now, which is what you would drink if you're a Macallan drinker, or what you should
You
try
wouldn't let
if
me
you're
put
a
the sign up,
Macallan
though. I was gonna
drinker.
say, If you like Macallan.
And this is in that
Try
with
this.
Glendronach and
Do you have Macallan?
Glenfarclas and a couple of others, but
Well, I love Glen Falk, especially the 17.
And we're not anti-Macallan.
No, I know you're not.
Neither am I, but-
We actually really enjoy it. It's fun to see people try new things.
well, it's overpriced.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's not the
overpriced.
only whiskey in the world.
And I
Macallan
think
is
Glen Falk's,
overpriced.
but for him, that's the only whiskey in the world.
Some
that
people, they
exists.
don't want to.
For anything else.
Yeah, they don't want to try anything
Stubborn bastard.
This is pretty nice,
Yeah,
I have to
no,
say.
but
They wouldn't be
They're
part of
missing
this.
out
Pretty
on-
solid. I mean,
Life.
this is one of those whiskeys that you could introduce somebody to as well,
Oh, very
and they would be probably pretty happy with it. It's not too high proof. It's got a lot of flavor going on.
Yeah, and it's not blowing your socks. out.
No, it's not. It's
It's
not.
not blowing your
blowing
money
your-
wallet. You're not blowing
I
your.
have such high
Socks
scores.
off.
tonight, I'm thinking that.
Am I getting mint on the palate?
Yeah,
And it doesn't. hit
yeah,
you
definitely.
quite
A little mint.
good.
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
in the middle.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
got
it's
that.
not as hot as. It does like that.
What's nice about it is, after drinking so many cask strength whiskeys, this feels like something I could just take a whole bottle and just swig it on down. So
Sounds
Well,
like Shalom.
Give it to, maybe the squirrel.
The,
needs
the
something.
triple, the triple wood's even scarier with that. I mean, that seemed a little too easy to
Yeah.
That
drink.
might speak to a larger issue we don't have to get at right now.
Yeah, Shalom, you know,
Call me when you're-
this
call me when you're-
this video is recorded,
It's less acting.
and
Oh, definitely molasses.
we also have a waiver in place, thank God. But yes,
Hi, my name's Shalom.
This is not that good.
just take this in your canoe with you, and
then it would truly be Tippy Canoe.
Then you have other issues.
Shalom, do we consider that a booze cruise or no?
All right, so the notes on the bottle are sprinkles of ginger dance with barley sugar, rich oak, sultanas, and cinnamon waltz slowly to a soft and creamy finale.
I got that too.
Oh, that's nothing. Yeah, wait till we get
For
to
a-
Scotch Malt Whiskey Society.
From the label.
Well, yeah, did you see the last one? Look at the name of the last one on the map.
All right, you guys ready
So-
for
Really
15?
well.
Or are we moving too fast? I don't want to move too fast.
Real fast.
A little fast? All right, I'll hold on. I need some more crackers. Then. Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's amazing.
And some water.
Wow,
You want?
thank you. Give me dinner.
I feel like I'm at poker. Like. I'm in. I'm all in. Oop.
Do you not always have this set up?
No, we do.
Oh,
It used to be pieces of paper, and then it was crackers at one point. We've upgraded to these like wooden chips.
Put it on crackers.
But the food assortment is a little bit fancy.
Wait, so that
So-
makes sense because I used to put these in my mouth.
So we're doing, we use fancy wooden glass toppers now for our
Oh,
tastings
yeah, I bought a whole bag. of-
instead of
My
paper.
house.
So when you guys come to your next in-person tasting, you'll notice these wooden toppers.
I got it. Couple
Um,
of-
Somebody mentioned that we used to use crackers, which was never the case.
These look like they come from
New
someplace
Zealand.
I know.
Whatever it was, New
You're
Zealand.
not lower ABV, you're just changing the temperature. Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense.
And then it makes sense. And then I feel weird
They have a
saying that
laser
I can taste the metal.
Oh.
You ready?
I don't know, I always kind of, and it's
Yeah.
hitting my tooth, I don't know.
Is that a lot of nods or no? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So real quick, you're gonna probably explain this, but 12, 15, no difference other than age.
I mean, in
Yeah.
theory, the best is room temperature. Like in winter, you'll see people warm it,
Good.
it's got like hold it in their hand. to Get it warm.
You like 'em?
Yeah. But if you like it that way, if you think it tastes better.
I'm still trying.
Okay, all right, 15 years. So no difference other than age.
Isn't it a higher ABV?
Yes,
Yeah.
quite a bit.
What is it?
This one's 53%.
Oh, jeez.
So that's pretty amazing, 7% jump.
Oh, it brings out the nose so much better.
Yes.
Now, this is like a sherry bomb on the nose.
This one actually burned more on the nose for me.
I don't have any nose hairs left, so it doesn't matter.
You beat me to it, Shalom. I was gonna say that about you, but. I actually cut my nose hairs before tonight's tasting, just FYI.
You weren't sure. if
I don't
camera
wanna know.
angle, you didn't want it to be.
Well, you know, you want to,
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. No, that's not TMI, Dave. That's actual proper etiquette, you know. I'm getting ready for a tasting. I'm gonna cut my nose hairs. Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, Charles, just out of curiosity, what's the preferred length for a tasting?
I don't know. That's a good question. That
Being recorded.
10 centimeters? I don't know. You have to get it, you got to leave a little bit, right? Because it's got to dance within the hairs.
You
a little
can't
bit.
look like you cut them.
Always find how the conversation changes around dram number 4 to 5.
It goes way down.
Never for the best.
Just wait till we're at 6 and 7.
It's like a library for sure.
They're good for the beach.
They're good for the beach. Yeah, I had them for the beach last week.
Holds the spice, that's for sure.
All right, so the notes on the front of the bottle on this one: toffee, apple, and tropical fruit, peaches and syrup with hints of coconut, vanilla sponge layered with fruit and spices leads to a warm finish.
I get a little like.
I think I like the 12 better, actually. I hate to say that.
The ABV and the sherry.
Holly is actually in that camp as well, right?
Oh, it does
You
have
like
the
the 12 better than the 15?
I don't know, I never had them side by side.
Oh, okay.
I had them at separate times.
Oh,
But
well, take that back, Jesse.
I decided.
Well, I think the finish might be better, but the palate was actually less than the 12. So I think I like the palate better, but the finish was better on this one.
My favorite one so far.
Yeah, this is my favorite so far by a long shot.
Yes.
To me, this is more classic, Oloroso matured, where the other one is more of,
I mean, at the higher ABV, you're getting a lot more intense sherry. Nice cracker on the glass there. It's good. Lucas, you've started a trend.
Yes.
Yes, cracker on the glass. It's horrible.
Just so you know, Ritz cracker fits perfectly.
I'm feeling extra fancy because I bought the little glass, toppers for all mine. So.
Yeah, there you go.
You have.
I bought a whole sleeve of them.
That is good.
Pretty ritzy there.
What's that?
I said he's pretty ritzy.
You know, Shalom, when in Rome.
Wow.
Yeah. This is when we mute Shalom at some point, but
I'll mute myself. Sorry.
no, you don't need to mute yourself.
Please don't.
Please don't. Yeah, please don't.
I'm still on the fence about the advent calendar.
I know. Oh,
Please,
so
guys,
speaking
don't.
of which, I know not all of
It's
you
just a
are
boost
members
December.
tonight, but the advent calendar is, we only have about 20 left. I think 52 people have signed up, and I think there's 72 total. So if you haven't signed up, or if you're new and are interested in what the heck that is, please let me know, because I'm trying to wrap that up soon as I'm starting to buy bottles for it, but it's pretty fantastic. And we do allow some non-members to partake in that, but there are some members that need to still step up.
So why are you
Lucas, you're in
defense?
it, right?
What's the issue?
Because I felt like I didn't have a clue last year.
That's good.
Oh, I did. We signed up. We didn't. I have no idea what I'm.
Oh, that's good.
Lucas, I know I finished
That's-
the
that's-
line.
You can guess at what it was, but
It's every day of my life.
Every day.
I
can
don't
we,
know
can we just go back to where, is it a scotch?
Did you sign?
Is it a bourbon?
It was one of those.
Or is it a rye? That's
Yeah.
All right, it's getting really loud. It's getting really loud.
But I will.
Maybe I calm down.
Yeah, I would definitely do
Yeah,
that.
that's why I will have to do this every
We
year.
got a lot of
I'm
people
already in
online
the
here are gonna hear a lot of static.
Damn it, Lucas.
Actually, had
Is there,
I wasn't loud.
the
Charles,
introductory
has there
bottle
been
or
a
whatever.
standout participant over the past couple of years as far as?
No, so
being able to
actually,
identify?
Beth Ann, who's online tonight with us, she was our winner last year. That was a first time winner. She's got the, what's the movie? What's the,
Oh,
Yeah.
Austin Powers.
Listen, let's not try to, let's not make Shalom mad.
This one.
Powers?
Yes.
This
Hmm.
finger.
Which probably explains
The
why.
pinky.
The pinky
Or
finger.
Pinky, oh,
Definitely
Especially
one of my favorites. Yep.
no, there's no standout. It's pretty random.
So far.
It'd be incredible. I
It's a
mean,
great learning experience. That's really what it is.
That it is.
And an exploration of whiskeys from around the world. And you really have to kind of just let all your knowledge go and just
Wing it.
wing it. Yes,
Fun.
in a way.
It's just one whiskey a night, right?
Yeah, it's one whiskey a day. Yeah,
And how much? Like
it's just
2
an ounce,
ounces?
1
An
ounce.
Oh, so you probably need 2. Or you can't share them.
Yeah, well, there are people that do share.
I think we'll be okay.
She's like, yeah, you better. You
Since that's the busiest time of my year, I think it's okay.
During the first year of the COVID pandemic, it was a really nice way to see other people. So
Mm.
it was, I looked forward to it every evening. Like we'd have, 20 minutes with a bunch of other people to just kind of hang out. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, you did like a video
Yeah, it's
Oh,
all on Zoom.
Zoom. It's all Zoom. It's not an in-person thing. It's all at your house.
every day for.
Yeah,
virtual?
24
It's
days.
like 15, 20 minutes or not even that long.
No, we do like
I felt
30
that I met
minutes.
more people
20,
through
30
that.
minutes.
And you don't have to be on.
Back to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you don't have to be
Yeah,
on.
You
that.
can go out and do
Oh, I'll be
normal
on.
stuff.
And there's an online,
Live the normal life.
there's an
Yeah.
online form where you put your
I can go
guests.
to like 15 and for 25. That's okay.
There's a couple where
So, all
I
right, back to Glenturret.
Sorry.
You're on your phone.
Glenturret.
No, I just.
15, good, bad, so, yes,
Oh,
no.
I
All
liked
right.
it a lot.
Well, you
No.
can't get it, so,
Great.
sorry.
Maybe it'll come back.
I
That's
Um,
why
freaking
not to
hate
like-
Don't-
Terrible then.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Do you think you could get it overseas?
Maybe, yeah,
Like if you were in England or
Maybe.
somewhere you might be able to find.
possibly.
What's
yeah.
Black
size
market?
batches?
Charles's fault, we had a case and he sold it
Perhaps.
off.
No, but I think
I
like they
did?
might have, might have a
My
different
friend was saying
distribution.
Who did-
He's had it done.
You are in this business.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, what was he supposed to do?
All right, we're gonna, you guys ready for some crazy whiskey?
Yes.
Are you, are you sure?
Save
I
it for
heard
all
those
year.
hairs okay.
I want the next
All right.
one.
The bottle and
So
the
let me,
bottle, people are like,
Let me explain, because we have a few new people here tonight, what the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society is. So we've been fans of this organization for a long time as a club. We joined actually 4 or 5 years ago. They are based in Scotland, Edinburgh. They are a group of people who back in the 1960s, group of friends who went out and were able to buy a cask and came back to Edinburgh and bottled it up and sold it to their friends. And before you knew it, it was like Saratoga Whiskey Club. It grew, and people were like, "Oh my God, where did you get all these incredible barrel bottlings?" And so now they are a global organization. They have whiskey being sourced from all over the world, not just Scotland. We've had actually bottlings from Ireland, from England, Wales, Sweden, America, lots of bourbons and American single malt, Japan. They're pretty much everywhere. They have, from what I understand, they've grown tremendously. They now have, I can't remember the numbers, but I believe it was over 25,000 members around the world now, which is really, really amazing. So you pay a yearly membership. It's not too crazy. It's like $75, $80 a year. And then you have access to great bottles of single cask expressions. So they go out and buy barrels. Some of them are moved and matured in their own warehouses. Some of them stay at the distillery and mature longer there. Sometimes they'll finish them in their own barrels that they get from different distilleries. But tonight we are doing 2 Glenturrets. And what the Scotch Malt Whisky Society has done as of recently, so the last couple of years, they've been doing these really incredible releases with whiskey that's been distilled and barreled on the same day. So we're having, actually these next 2 whiskeys that we're having, were both distilled on the same exact day at Glenturret, 20 years, well, a little over 20 years ago. And actually, let me get the dates here for you. So I have all that info too.
1658.
Weren't they actually in the same original single cask and then split it too?
Yep, hold on here. We're gonna get there. I'm a little slow today.
It's like twins.
All right, so
Separated at birth.
Scotch Malt Whisky Society, one of the ways that they work is that each distillery has a number. Glenturret's number is 16. So they're one of the earlier distilleries. Number 1 is Glenfarclas, which is one of our favorite distilleries. So that was the first distillery that they actually got barrels from. Glenturret being number 16 is really early as well, because they're already at like 140 plus, and then they have all these other letters that they use now for other countries. So Glenturret being number 16 is really early. So they released these 2 bottles. It was called Distillery Dive number 16. It was a lottery release, so you had to enter the lottery in order to get these 2 bottles. And one of our members, who's actually not in our tasting, and I have no idea why, he sold these 2 bottles to me. He was lucky to get them, and I was grateful, especially because we had all of these other Glenturrets to drink with them. But this is, so what they call this is a distillery dive. So we're actually looking into this distillery a little bit more intensely. And what they call this is Oloroso versus Pedro Jimenez, which are 2 different styles of sherry. So I'm going to read this because it's very interesting. Our Distillery Dive series kicks off 2022, so this was earlier this year, with a serious bang. And the single malt hails from the oldest working distillery in Scotland, dating back to 1763, distillery number 16 in the Southern Highlands. In 2019, SMWS, Scotch Malt Whisky Society Spirit Manager Ewan Campbell, identified 2 casks from distillery number 16 that had been aged in port pipes. So pipes is the name of a port barrel, very, very large barrel, larger than sherry barrel, for 18 years. He combined the casks and split the contents into 2 sherry hogsheads. One is ex Oloroso and the other is ex Pedro Jimenez. As you'd imagine, they are both very intense and rich with lots of red fruits and subtle spices. And it's fascinating to see how a split cask can head off in completely different directions due to different forms of additional maturation or finishing. Understanding the cask's impact on a whiskey is the primary focal points of our Distillery Dive series. And we did this, it was a few months ago now, I think. We did this with Macallan. We actually had 3 different Macallans, all distilled on the same day, same kind of deal, different barrels, and it was really fantastic. So each cask displays the decadence rendered from maturation in 2 different fortified wine casks. Cask number 16.58, which is our first one. It's called Hair-Tingling Revelation. Offers, which is a great name, Hair-Tingling Revelation, offers jammy fruits and marked nuttiness before leading us down the dark trail to candied cherries, game meats, and savory spices. And then we have cask number 1659, which is our last one. And these would be really great to do side by side. So don't kill one and then go to the next. Keep these both going and try them both side by side. Cask number 16.59. So the 58 and 59 refers to how many casks they've actually done with that distillery. So 1658 is the 58th cask of Glenturret. 59 is the 59th cask of Glenturret that the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society has done. It's called Too Good to Be True. Shifts towards sticky sweet desserts and bitter herbs for an equally compelling taste experience. So we have Ex Oloroso to begin with in 1658 for 2 years, and Ex Pedro Jimenez, which is Too Good to Be True, in 1659 for 2 years. Really fun. This is a really great way to taste whiskey when you have 2 whiskeys that are distilled on the same day, put in a cask on the same night. These are very expensive. These 2 whiskeys combined after shipping was almost $500. So, you know, that's why this tasting cost $50, because it was not cheap whiskeys in general, but really special that we get to try these tonight. And I'm really looking forward to these. I have not tasted these.
They're the second one.
And let me, I will find their tasting notes because they have really great tasting notes with the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. So let's do 1658 first.
Hey Vince,
Can you turn those
this
bottles
this
around?
might be the first tasting that I've been at with you that you don't have Yankee.
I just want to look at
Yankee
labels
Delaware.
so I can.
I'm a little concerned. Is everything?
All right.
Is everything okay?
And English Premier League started, so I have
Soccer
I have to
season.
represent.
All right. All right. We're talking soccer here now. All right. So
Started.
My fault.
these were distilled in April of 2001. In the USA, there's only 78 bottles of this first one. So we're lucky we have a bottle we're tasting tonight.
You really can't get. You really can't.
It
get
says
this.
it right here.
Okay.
How do I know that?
But you can't. It's hard to get. You really can't.
Oh, it's gone. Yeah, you can't get it. It's a lottery release. So these are both gone. But let me read a little bit about this one. The first one, which is called, again, Hair-Tingling. Oh, wait a minute.
Wait a second.
What's the number on that? 16 what?
1658.
Hair-Tingling Revelation.
It's 16.
Oh, yeah. Hair-Tingling Revelation. Okay. All right, here we go. There's no going back now, but you'd never had it any other way. The raw and hair-tingling revelation of heavily toasted nuts, jangling medicines, and sticky dark fruit jams. Bitter citrus rinds, coal scuttles, and the fiery kiss of properly spiced Bloody Marys. Water does little to cool this wildness, so don't use water. There's raisin liqueurs, angelica root, spiced mango chutney, wood embers, and winter spices. A wild, wide-eyed hurtle towards unvarnished truth. Open wide, a hot kick of cherry kirsch, bubbling umami broths, whiplash salinity, red fruit teas, game meaty gravy, and paprika.
Which one?
Wow.
That's on the first one.
All right, splash, yes.
Was-
Splash some water.
Paprika now, I'm
Fruit
thinking about
cordials,
smoking
camphor,
paprika.
overbrewed herbal teas, dark ointments, wintergreen, and aged plum wine. Whiskey was matured for 18 years in a port pipe before being divided into 2 separate casks. This one in the first fill Oloroso hogshead. So there you go.
So
They-
it's
They always have the best tasting notes.
it's interesting because my tasting notes on this was it was actually pretty sweet. And I was expecting, you know, the Oloroso to be drier. I tried this one and the PX, tried them both, and there's not a big difference in sweetness between them.
No,
Interesting.
I love the
Oh, did
I
you
love
grab
it.
it?
Second one?
Jimenez.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
that's
definitely
yours. Here,
It's definitely sweet.
Not as
This is mine.
spicy, little bit more
That's the second one.
balanced,
too much
I would
trouble.
say. Between
Well, no, it
spicy
just
Is that
appeared
what that
here.
is?
I don't remember.
I just
It's a
that.
little
love-
more balanced, yeah.
You
You
did.
have a
I
pretty good
saw
one.
you.
I'm sure it is. I don't remember.
I think the two is, the second one's better.
I agree.
But
I
I'm
like
just
the
like,
second
it's
one just a little
easy.
better.
It's a little smoother.
All right. Everybody's already got opinions here.
Oh, we definitely.
Hold on. We haven't talked about the second
And
one
that's the
yet.
Oloroso,
Between
but
the
I
last
tend to like Oloroso
I
better.
think
All right,
this
since
one's
we are
rather
comparing the
these
two, I will read about the second one and see what you guys think.
It's for their ridiculous.
All right, ready for ridiculousness?
Yes.
All right.
Other
By the way,
concentrations?
Too good to be true.
Okay, too good to be true. 1659. Something was not real. Everything was too good to be true. Too drenched in sugar coating and the syrupy, sticky sweetness of molten cola cubes, root beer, and natural tar essences. Heady and alluring, set to reel you in with warm pine resins, fragrant cloves, strange herbal liqueurs, and jazzy cocktail bitters. Reduction, adding water, brought Jamaica ginger cake warmth. A soothing hug of roasted nuts, espresso martini, intricate medicines, and all manner of salted licorice, birch beer, and Vors sherry.
All
Wow.
that in one drink.
In the mouth. We're finally in the mouth.
Oh,
Oh!
that was just on the nose.
In the mouth, the virtual and artificial perfections hold. Lots of Madeira cake, Black Forest gâteau, and gentle sappy wood tones. Water cools everything down to a menthol simmer. Teas, earths, bitter herbs, medical traces, and curious jams. Again, matured 18 years in a port pipe. Then this one is first fill PX Sherry Hogshead. 78 bottles in the US.
Do you think that's one person who writes that, or do they just do
No,
a
it's-
word?
it's-
They do a word.
No,
column
so
and
the
just-
Scotch Malt Whiskey Society has a panel. It's very large, actually. It's, I think
50
about like,
people.
yeah, I think
You
it's
just
less
write
than
one
50.
flavor.
It's probably around 20 people.
I'll give it a note.
How do you get all
But
that?
every week they select some people from the panel to come to Edinburgh and go through their cask and come up with tasting notes. So
I
it's
think
not
they
all
have
the
a
whole
lot of weeks
panel.
by the time they come up with
There
it.
is a chairman of the panel.
Yep.
There
That
is
makes
somebody
sense.
who's
Oh, the
overseeing it
chairman.
all. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty serious organization
These
at
last
this
ones,
point.
getting
They
a
have
lot of
beautiful
brown
locations
sugar,
in
molasses,
Edinburgh to go
the longer
visit.
it sits in the glass.
I was
You
there.
can
I
drink.
didn't go.
Yeah.
Both of these last two were spectacular.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm really-
Shalom.
I give a slight edge to the PX, but I've got them at 92 and 93.
What's PX?
Pedro Jimenez.
Second one.
Second one.
So this would be the last one. It's just Pedro Jimenez.
And that's the cask.
That is the wine barrel.
Barrel.
That was the one that was
designation.
So
last.
they'll take
Is that it?
a bourbon barrel and they'll take it apart
Mhm.
and they'll
hard for me
actually
to
put
tell at this
extra
point.
staves in and reconfigure the head, so they'll make it a little bit bigger than a bourbon barrel.
So
That's a
they're
hogshead.
so they're
These are
taking
different.
out the innards that has
No,
a flavor.
Okay, so.
No, they actually just like
Short
take
answer.
all of the.
So this is the
um,
PX,
the metal off the
Yeah.
hoops
the
off,
last one,
right,
and they put a few
1659.
extra staves to make it
1658.
bigger. Then they put new metal on and new heads, so it's a little
No,
bit
this is
bigger
it.
than a barrel, and then they put Pedro Jimenez sherry in it.
That's the
Okay.
15
And
years.
who knows how long it was in there, but probably maybe up to a year.
So the Malt Whiskey Society took it and put it in the barrels, or was put in the barrels?
Yeah, so they would have transferred it. They would have taken. it
They
was
took
in a
something
quart
from
pipe.
Glenturret
Mhm.
and then they put it in the Whiskey Society, put it in the barrels.
Probably it was owned by a broker. There's
Okay.
this whole like middle land where a distillery, if they have whiskey
Extra.
that doesn't have a home, like they
Mhm.
had a bunch of older bottlings that didn't need to go to a blend, or maybe they weren't really ready to release, the leak
They'll
wasn't.
sell 'em.
So they would sell it to this middle tier called brokers, and they own casks and they sell to bottlers like SMWS and all DS Tayman, the first one we had, they'll sell to all these bottlers.
Yeah, so
And-
they probably, that was around 18, when it was 18 years in the port pipe is probably when the Scotch Malt Whiskey
Bought it.
Society bought it.
Okay.
And then they had these other barrels to transfer it to.
So the society is the one that makes the majority of the profit, or is it the?
Broker.
They all
Both are
make
taking-
it.
Everybody's making
Everybody
the
got
profit.
But they obviously thought that by.
But like for
it
these
was
bottles that are
finishing
so
it.
expensive,
So to
who
buy-
makes them, I mean, is that the?
To buy a barrel.
Well, this is a 20-year-old
whiskey.
whiskey, so when they bought it, it wasn't cheap to begin with at 18
And then
years.
they had
They
a
bought it at 18
store and
years.
then they had a.
If they bought it, I'm assuming they bought it
Right,
at
because
18
it wasn't
years.
used in whoever's other
So-
mixtures. They sold it to
Right.
these guys.
So
and they-
these are sold by them for $2.25 a piece. So $4.50 plus tax and shipping comes to around $500 or so dollars.
And then
So
they
it's
would have
crazy.
put.
So it's not really
they would
that
put sherry
outrageous
in it.
for-
They probably
No,
sold it
no,
in
no.
order to
These are
price
cash
get sherry put
strength.
in it.
Oh, speaking of
Season it and
which,
then it comes
we
back.
didn't talk about ABV. So the second one is 53.57.
The cask is
That's
worth more than the sherry.
1659.
Mhm.
1658 is
No one drinks sherry
53.7. So there you go.
They
They're
make
both
sherry
the same
seasoned
ABV. That's interesting. They didn't
Yeah.
change.
That's an amazing business,
Yeah, in the
right?
past, there were
The
so
extra.
many, because everyone drank sherry,
You're
so it was like the
buying
everyday
stuff, you have
cask.
to let sit for 10 minutes.
So this may be a little egregious, but tried the 59 neat, took a sip of water, then tried the 59 again, like quickly after the sip of water, and it
Yep.
was like it didn't taste like the same whiskey. And frankly, for me, it was a huge explosion of flavor. So if you have a little bit left, I recommend trying that.
Yeah. So we have droppers over there if you want to grab a couple. I would love to do that. I would love one.
I know that.
Oh, for water?
This one I.
If you want.
To add to the whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did too.
Address the.
What's really funny is the last time I had sherry was at my church.
And, with the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, definitely try water. I mean, there's no question about it. We use little
Okay.
droppers of distilled water.
Didn't the first
These
one
are all
say-
cash strength. There's nothing wrong with adding water. So
Same enough to add water.
Charles McLean, who was the chairman
I'll take that.
on
So
their
just a
panel,
drop, right?
Yes.
who's a
One or
famous
two, whatever you like.
whiskey guy. He's written lots of books. I met him a couple times. I went to a tasting with him once with the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. He added
I
so
have
much
two bottles
water
for them. I have a 30
to his
year-old
whiskey.
single
I was
grain,
shocked. I was
30
like,
whiskey.
what are you doing?
Gordon.
Like, and I asked him the question actually at that
First
tasting.
bottle
I'm
I
like,
ever
I
drank.
saw how much
$200
water
a
you
piece,
asked.
you get a
And I know he
50
drinks
Or
and
you
tastes a
remember.
lot of whiskey every day. So you gotta,
$70.
monitor how much ABV you're putting in your body every day. But it was a lot. And he was good with that. He was like,
McEwen was the same way, wasn't he?
yeah, McEwen added a lot of water. I mean, they're experts, right? So they can, even with a lot of water, they can still pull out notes that us amateurs can't do that.
But do they notes change?
They do a little bit. But with water though, if you know it's good with water,
Then it's good.
it's gonna be even better without water.
Oh.
But
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the notes.
I mean, you get lots of different notes.
Hedge fund guys.
So how do you make the smallest ice cube ever?
We used to be Brad Sheep.
Yeah.
as a security
How you make the
chief
smallest what?
commission.
Ice cube.
Ice
you know,
cube ever?
Shaving,
Defensive guys
and
used to
shaving, right?
prosecute. He was also chief of securities fraud division for the Eastern District of New York. Now he takes.
Yeah, water does a lot with these.
London was
Yeah.
the last trip he took before the pandemic.
And these aren't super high. I mean, 53.7
No, they're not.
is not, but again, 20 years, that's a pretty old whiskey. So to have anything over 50%,
The largest cigars in the world.
Oh, there you go.
All Cuban cigars.
Where is it?
The Wellesley Hotel in London.
Well,
so I want to get a consensus here.
And they asked Charles to
Um,
describe the tour.
Who likes Oloroso more than Pedro Jimenez?
Oloroso.
All right, so we got a couple here in person. Shalom, you like Oloroso more than Pedro?
But not because I taste.
I like them both the same. I'm actually waving to Jeff and Meredith.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hi Meredith.
Although with
Nice
water,
to see
these
you.
two are really good.
Where's the baby?
You're unmuted.
Oh, sleeping.
What a 13-year-old.
good place to be.
This is why I'm finally able to be here.
So cute.
So I think the consensus is Pedro Jimenez. If there were only a few hands that were Oloroso.
Yeah, the Pedro Jimenez by a nose hair.
Yeah.
Oh, you, okay. All
You
right.
still have, wait, Shalom, you still have some?
Shalom, was that a 10-centimeter nose hair or 6?
I don't know. My nose hairs aren't like, they don't start out at 17 centimeters like Charles. So you know,
20 minutes ago.
But they are perfectly coiffed.
they are
It was funny.
You know, when you
being
can,
recorded, right?
when you can man bun your nose hairs, you're in trouble.
That's
Now,
a bad
I'm
thought.
subconsciously checking mine. Do I need trim?
I didn't even know that was an option.
No,
I think I'm good.
It's all good. You know, all of these are recorded. I'm
no shame.
going to some place somewhere at some point, you know, so
We all are. Charles.
it's all good.
We all are.
You can judge me later.
As long as
Um,
I'll meet you there, Charles.
Whatever place that is, as long as there's
We're
plenty
not
of whiskey,
saints.
we're good.
We are not.
It's the first fill spirits in the sky.
Yes. First fill heaven. I'm going to first fill heaven.
I'll see you
Well, the
there.
couch is ready.
I'll be in second fill heaven.
You'd have to
so
get
if anyone wants to-
I want to upgrade.
You'd have to get a much
Holly will be in
better
door 18. I'll be in door 19. So
First fill.
second fill and first fill.
Just
Yeah.
like second time around. So.
I'll be buried in a cask as opposed to a casket.
Oh,
Wow, that's actually an idea.
What kind of cask?
Oh,
Probably Pedro. Pedro.
Guaranteed it'll be second fill.
a Springbank sherry cask.
Oh.
Yeah,
So you buy your cast
better be a
iron?
quarter cask or it's going to be wasted on you. So.
Oh,
Oh, that's too fun.
You know what I would say about these? They were all very like sweet in nature.
Yeah, they were sweet.
These are what you would drink instead of Macallan whiskeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
I mean,
some
I love
scotches
Macallan,
I've had.
No,
before
this is very that.
yes, very sweet.
Yes.
I've had
I got
very
about
like
this
salty.
much
So,
very-
speaking of sweet, at some point this fall, we're going to do a very special Edgedour tasting. I have like 8 bottles actually from Edgedour that are really incredible. Most of them have actually been shipped from
Getting some more
Scotland.
of the Caledonian.
Good.
So we're going to have another really epic sherry, very sherry forward.
So sweet.
Yeah, sweet.
Chords
Thank you.
and-
Yeah. No, it was great. I'm not. I was just,
When
It was.
I don't know
Well,
why I
you guys
wasn't,
were at my
I was
house, we
expecting
tasted
not
12
sweet,
Scotch
not
whiskeys.
sweet, but not this sweet.
Caledonia was in them.
I like sweet.
That's the bottle we took up for cigars later. So I'm glad you're getting more because.
So you guys enjoyed tonight? Was it a good
Actually,
lineup? Yeah. All right. Lots of thumbs up there. Yeah, good.
Because he said if that comes in.
Lots of new faces. I'm glad to see new faces.
I'll have-
We will be announcing some things via first fill if we ever have spaces. If you want to be a member of the club, you know, sign up to be in the club. When there are open spots, we will open up to the public, but I have a feeling once we get into the fall, when people are all back here in town, we won't be opening back up to the public very much. So, you know, just FYI.
Oh, whiskey gets me through the
But
winter.
good times.
Hey, Charles, those last two were really special. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Great.
I was super excited to taste those as well. So,
So are you a member of that?
yeah, well, I'm a member, but it's for the club. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
But the
really-
people, the person
And actually,
who got-
we've
the
had
person
the
who got that
direct-
was not Charles.
We've had the director of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society come to Saratoga and actually do tastings with the club,
Yeah.
which is really fun.
You can become
so.
an individual member. I am. It's like $70 a year.
But
You're-
you
But
get-
all right, we're
you
gonna
get-
wrap up here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna stop the recording. I'm not gonna shut the Zoom down, but I'm gonna stop the recording. It was great having you all here tonight. If you want to stick around and be online with us, that's fine. If not, no problem. But I'm gonna stop the recording now. Tasting 115 in the books.